or possibly lost. Welcome back to the channel, people. My name is Mr. London Plumber. I've been a plumber for 23 years and some change, long time. But today I'm going to be breaking down what I've learned and what is the hardest parts for apprentices to be able to stick on an honest career and be a polished tradesperson 20, 30, 10 years later. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely do tell your friends. Subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be popping up. I'm going to be doing more lives like this, and we're going to get into it now. So I'm going to talk about my experience first as an apprentice, and I had a really good apprenticeship, you know. I was working with people who I considered people that knew what they were talking about, always helpful. No question was too stupid to be able to ask. And that is a key feature, you know, when I think about it. So many times we struggle asking questions to people thinking, am I the dumb one for asking this? You're not. The reality is that you don't know, so you need to know, innit? So you ask the questions. Don't be afraid or ashamed to ask the questions. Yeah, what things have I learned early within my trade? I learned that the people who do the trade definitely respect themselves a lot and respect what they do and take it to a high regards. So let's get on with what I want to tell you about. It's broken down in different sections. So I've told you about my beginning, which is I've been an apprentice myself, and I'm going to tell you why people fall out at certain points. So I got a friend, yeah, and my friend went through an experience when he was on site, which wasn't a good experience, right? He felt like he got bullied. He felt like he was not helped where he could have been because he's still a newbie plumber, you know. When you're a new plumber, you don't know everything. You don't know what tool to use, which is going to make your work a lot faster. You don't ask other people, oh, how do you do that little shortcut? Or, you know, when you tighten these things up, what's the quickest way to do it? And I think some people get the wrong end of the stick sometimes, because being in a place where you're thrown in the deep end, because that's what it is at some points. If you're fresh off your apprenticeship, you're going to be thrown in on the deep end, but you've still got an apprentice's mindset. And at work, sometimes there can be bad culture, right? And what I mean by bad culture is, I mean, people not helping each other, people looking down on someone that doesn't know something because they do. People that want to bully you and make names, or they call them jokes and all that. It's called banter on site, but there's a thin line between a lot of banter and bullying, which we all know, and it all goes on, you know. But it can leave people lost and deeply depressed. So be mindful of doing it to others, even if you are the same age, even if you say it's just jokes. You know, nobody wants someone feeling depressed and alone. And that's what can happen sometimes when people get bullied, because everybody understands what a bully is, right? So my mate has this interesting story which I wanted to tell you about, because he got his qualifications and went to a site and had an experience with people on site who, well, what I just described, maybe not the most helpful, maybe talking to you in a way which you need a little bit more help. You don't get it when someone says that, oh, you got to just tighten a nut, then you got to pull that under, then you got to cut that off, and then you just hang it. That's it. Hang it where? Like, you need more instructions. You don't get it, innit? And he was going through a hard time. But somehow everyone was present. You remember this point as well, which is when COVID hit. COVID hit at a certain point, and everyone stopped. So I used to go out bike riding with my friend, and I said to him, you know, why don't you get back into plumbing? He goes, oh no, you know, the experience what I had of it, it weren't cool, and bloody bloody blah, and blah 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 blah. So I said, you know what, you should give it a go, you know, because you have the qualifications. You was in a bad situation where you saw the ugly side of it, which isn't the full industry. It's just what sometimes people experience sometimes, which everybody's not proud of, you know. To put someone off of a trade just because they was there at a specific job and it wasn't nice for them isn't cool. You know, it's an experience in life, and you don't want to be having to talk bad about something what you enjoy or something what makes you money, right? Because you're not enjoying it. So I suggested to him that, you know, you've got this much experience, you could get a job anywhere else, and I think you're more than employable. Like you'd be a good character to have at most workplaces, and the way you think, you'll get on with it, and that's what it's about. So he took my advice after COVID, and after COVID time, he was actually got a job and built his way up. And he was doing a lot of jobs. He was really happy about it. I was really happy to hear back from him, to hear that he was having a successful time, and he was making money at the end of the day. That's the main thing. You're making money from the trade, what you set out to be in, and it's all coming together. That is wonderful. So I know that at points we all don't have friends who have this level of encouragement, or someone that can tell you stick at it, you know, or give it another go, try in a different area, try maintenance, try doing something which is more laid back, so it's a different set of people. I'm just giving you the differences between people who are like on site compared to someone who is on a maintenance contract. And I did tell him to go to a maintenance contract because that's what I learned my apprenticeship in, you know. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it makes it any difference. You're not a better plumber by going to a site compared to going to a maintenance workplace. Do you get it? You've still got the same title. You do different types of work, but the fundamentals and the basics you would have learnt just from college anyway, so you've got that. But it's the two different avenues which can allow you to stay in something for longevity, which is maintenance, or do something which is right now always still going on anyway, which is installation. There's only two sides of plumbing. So I'm glad I was able to give him a little bit of advice and let him see the differences, because today, and I say this with a smile on my face, today my friend said to me, he's starting to think about opening his own business. And think about that, just from COVID time, from turning things around, from reinvesting within yourself, believing within yourself again, that you can now get to somewhere, all because you didn't fully give up. You didn't give up. And that's the thing about being a plumber, I'll be honest, is that there's numerous amounts of times that you want to give up. You think to yourself, you know what, I don't know if this is worth it, you know, I might jack it in. And it crosses your mind, but you realise I'm too deep into this to jack it in. I'm too invested within what I'm doing to jack it in. I have to stick at it. Because you have ups and you have down days. But having someone to talk to about it is very helpful for anyone, you know. I'll be honest. Like, if you can get a friend within the trade just to alleviate some of your day-to-day stresses and some of the things what you go through, which you might feel that, you know, someone's attacking you on site, or your manager is being unfair with you, or someone's talking to you in a way which, you know, you don't need to talk to me like that. Have a mate to call. Have a friend to call. Know someone who you can discuss your future plans with. And maybe they haven't, or they haven't been there, but it's just a second opinion, and it will make you feel more comfortable with what you're doing. So I didn't explain to you, and I haven't got to the point where I'm going to say why most plumbers don't get to a certain point in their career. And it's simply and based around them giving up before they're fully even started, really. And I know that we have a lot of distractions within life. Like, everyone's got distractions. There's things going on. You know, you might be living life at a pace where you ain't got time to slow down, or you don't look at this as an opportunity right now. You look at it as a means to be getting by. Cool. But it's actually quite a solid means to get by when you think about it as a trade in general. Because trades will always be needed. Buildings will always be made. There will always be a need for cold water, hot water, heating, ventilation. So all of these things, plumbing comes into. Underfloor heating, ground source heat pumps. Again, this is something that you can build on, and you can obviously live a nice life from, but it's how you approach it, people. You know, you need to approach it with the idea of being able to learn. And you might be learning for a very, 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 very long time, which there's nothing wrong with. You know, it keeps your brain active. The more you do not learn is the more you lose something, right? And I've known this over my experience of being a plumber, because I've been an apprentice when I first started. I was a plumber somewhere. I worked my way up to being a supervisor on the site, to running a site, to being the lead engineer of a site, to being the lead engineer of a site which cost a lot of money. So responsibility after responsibility after responsibility after responsibility. It allows you to be higher up in the food chain, but allows you to learn different things. And in between that time, I became a lecturer. So I learnt more about my own trade than what I knew before, because I was reading through the books every day, you know. And that is a big part of your education, which is self-learning, because your course is delivered to you. I just want to explain this to people. So it's delivered to you, and some of us as lecturers, all we do is narrate it, right? So we just read what's on the board, give you an example, give you some work, and ask you if you kind of understand what we're talking about, right? So you either get it or you don't. And if you don't get it, you have to figure out a way to remember it, and remember it within process. But you remember these things better when you're actually going out and doing stuff day to day, and you're saying, oh, the reason why this has happened is because of this, this, this. You now know the word for it. So now it's giving you a good chance to be able to put that knowledge to what you just done and say, oh, I remember it's this. And it will make sense for you people. So I want people to remember that it's difficult to be able to keep going at something. It's necessary if you want to get it done and become a plumber. Stick at it. You know, like I said, my friend had the capability to stop for a little bit and then come back to it. But once you've got the qualifications, you can always come back to something. That's the thing. Get the qualifications and stick at it, because look at him today. He never even said to me before that he wanted to have his own business. Ever. That's the first time I've ever heard him say it. And I wanted to make this live just to remind people that, you know, if you're an apprentice and you're thinking about it, stay on this live and I will be able to tell you why you need to stick and build, because becoming a qualified tradesperson, yeah, it's necessary within life today. I mean, it's a good trade to have. So I'm going to try and read one of the questions which I've got in the live chat. Thank you for dropping a comment here. Give us a sec. So project managers. One second, bro. 1 second. Let me just see if I can make that question bigger so I can see it. Being a plumber, being an apprentice plumber, and going to a project manager has to take me 14 years through. So someone on live now is a plumber, yeah, but they want to be a project manager, right? And it's going to take you 14 years, did you say? Let's check that up. 1 second. I don't know how long it takes to be a project manager, but I'm going to find out for you. 1 second. I'm searching it so I can actually find out, because this is the whole point of doing research, yeah? You see, if you're a plumber, yeah, and you just don't want to stay at the rate of just being a plumber, and you want to get higher levels of skills, like I got a triple MSTS, yeah, and the next one up is a site manager, yeah, so it's another course to do on top of that. But I wonder where the project manager is going to be. How long is it going to take me to be? One sec, peeps. But I appreciate the question asking, but I haven't done a live in so long, so therefore I wasn't expecting people to pop up, but I definitely appreciate it. Right, let's see what we've got. From being a plumber to becoming a project manager, yeah? So you would need to obviously have your MVQ level 2 and your MVQ level 3. It's a 4 to 7 years qualifications plus gain work site experience, 7 to 10 years more on supervisor and projects. Then people normally work their way in through the M&E and construction, showing lead, and normally it takes around 10 to 15 years for a qualified plumber to... Oh, okay. So you need to become the qualified plumber, the senior plumber, then the site supervisor or foreman, or assisting project managers, and then the project manager. Okay. It's a good way to go. That's interesting, because I could be a site manager, because I've got that many years already. That's really interesting. So You see, that I think there are so many avenues, yeah, which you can expand this having a plumbing qualifications as your MVQ level 2 and your MVQ level 3, then working your way up through the various channels. So they would want you to have 4 to 5 years being qualified as a plumber and gaining some site experience. Yeah, site experience is important. And then you're going to move from your 7 to your 10 years into your supervisor role. That's supervising sites, managing projects, working with the managing projects, working with the project manager, sorry. And then working for bigger M&E contractors and companies. And showing your leadership skills early, getting invited into large projects. Okay, so that's the way to kind of make it into that. So you see that giving up on the apprenticeship before it gets rolling, it's got an end product at the end, which could be project manager. You know, who would have thought a plumber could work their way up, an apprentice could work their way up all the way from an apprentice, qualified plumber, supervisor, and then to project manager. So there are loads of steps that you can take. Again, it's saying normally the route takes like 10 to 15 years. That's investing within yourselves, but your apprenticeship is about 5 years anyway now, so you got to invest from the beginning. So you're looking at a little time, but the time's worth it, man. You know, if you've got a focus, if you want consistent money, if you want a consistent, stable job and an income, plumbing will definitely do that for you. Yeah, appreciate that person dropping that question out there. And now I'm going to remind you, if you enjoyed this live, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do drop comments after. I will be answering them all, and look out for some of the new content. I've just posted my newest weekly video, which is Week in the Life of a Plumber. And that's episode 4. That's up right now. Just went live yesterday. People, have a great day. Enjoy what you're doing. Be motivated. Let's get it.